Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. Happy Halloween to those you weirdos out there who celebrate this nonsense.
Hi everybody, Matt Guy here. Hope everybody's doing well.
No, how he said you weirdos, not me. It's personal preference, personal choice. Hello, everyone.
The original plan was, if Matt wasn't ill, we'll come to that in a moment. If Matt wasn't off last week, I was just going to kind of just gloss over Halloween this year because I kind of feel like, fuck it, it's not really that interesting, but that's just me. Welcome back though, Matt. It's good to see your lovely face on the old Skype once again.
Face for radio has never been more apparent as today because I don't look or sound the greatest, but I will. God damn it, I'll give it my best shot.
You're soldiering on. It's good to hear. Last week, Matt, obviously we were Halloweening with the mensch that is Ash Dolan. We came to the conclusion that Pennywise the Clown was the king horror villain. Was there anyone that you felt we did dirty on that, or who would you have picked personally?
It's difficult because actually, when you look at what these films ended up being, only one of them is a horror, and that would be the Xenomorph. Mm-hmm. Because only one of those films is a horror film, the rest are action, and they aren't scary in the least. But when you actually think what kind of animal bleeds acid and is a vicious hunter, and all the best villains in any film or genre are based around, like, their motives are completely 100% justified in their own heads, and actually all this is just natural species doing natural species things. It's an apex predator, and that's what makes it so exciting, and that's what makes it such a great villain, I guess. But obviously there's no humanoid aspect to it. Well, there kind of was, like, later down the line. The least said about that, the better. The problem is, again, Jigsaw I really liked, but then the further you get into Saw and that whole franchise, it just gets absolutely bastardized, and it's just becomes a shamble of itself by about Saw 3. So I would have gone Jigsaw if Saw had ended by, like, the third one.
Are you happy with the news that it looks like he's going to be back for the 10th iteration of Saw?
Not particularly, but the thing is, I checked out ages ago. Like, I haven't seen the most recent one. Was Spiral, is it? Or so it's just one of those things. You got to don't tank the memory of what I had. It's better to have loved and lost than never loved at all. I'm just gonna enjoy what I know now and not not watch anymore, make it worse.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I feel like I've got so deep into it now that I have to watch them, even though I mostly hate them and end up texting Stu halfway through, pissing and moaning about how bad they've gotten.
This won't kind of reach out to the regular listeners of this, but on our other less successful podcast, Wolves Fancast, someone put out a tweet the other day that I think got shared around the group chat as Saw, but if Dazzling Dave was Jigsaw. And then it was like other Wolves personalities that were got, like, chopping their legs off, and there are tools lying around. And it'd just be the way that Wolves are at the minute. I think I'd rather chop off my own leg than watch any more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other question we asked as well that week, Matt, have you seen any good horror films lately? Because we are in that season. Anything you can recommend or recommend to avoid?
I haven't seen a lot of horror as of late because I'm a big pussy hole. But what I will say is, if you're a young gentleman and you happen to frequent a girl or a boy, and you take them back to your room or house or apartment or whatever, a great film to seal the deal is The Descent.
Oh, yes.
Because that used to be my go-to. I'd always put The Descent on, have a little cuddle. It's too scary. Oh, it's a monster. And that was always the done deal.
And then you got into tight spaces later on in the night.
Well, there we go.
Stu, something we didn't really touch on last week that, in retrospect, we probably should have. The Marvel Werewolf by Night thing. We haven't really spoke about it since it's been released. What did you think of it?
I haven't watched it, that's why.
Oh, I thought you had. Apologies.
No, that's why I was saving it to watch it on Halloween.
Right.
Just for something to do to kind of celebrate this whole nonsense of it all. I mean, from the trailer, it looked great. And it's, 55 minutes? So I ain't expecting Ben-Hur from it. As long as it lives up to what it seems to be billed as, which by the reactions of most people seems to be the case. So
yeah, I think that's fair. It's fine, just fine. Like you say, you didn't expect it to be great, and it wasn't great. It was just fine. Have you seen it yet, Matt?
No, I've seen
No.
there's quite a lot of, even like the little touches, like the opening has been adapted for the fact that it's like a werewolfy thing, which looked quite cool. I saw a trailer on the internet for that about the opening of it and stuff. I've checked out Marvel now. I'm so far behind. I'm at the point of no return, and it's super liberating. Like, I'm not going to watch it now. I'm not going to watch the films that come out. I'm not going to watch any of it. And I've finally rid myself of the FOMO of it.
So
that's excellent.
It's done. I'm done with it.
This is what he tells himself when he says that he can't buy any more trainers. He can neither quit MCU movies or quit buying Jordans. It's his curse, and he's dealt with it forever.
I feel like if I didn't have the unlimited card, I probably would have checked out on Marvel. Like the TV shows, I've dipped in and out. Like, as you know, I've only watched a couple of episodes of She-Hulk. Like, Thor left such a bad taste in my mouth that I'd be inclined not to bother watching Black Panther had it not be for the fact that I've got an unlimited card and it costs me nothing. Obviously, if there's something else, like, it's not going to be high on my list to watch that week. If there's something else out that week, that will probably take precedent. I feel like I'm teetering on the edge of just cutting it off at this point, and especially having seen bits of the new Ant-Man trailer, which just look terrible. But there you go. Is there anything you'll be watching on Halloween night, Matt, or are you going to be pussying out of that one as well?
Well, I mean, Halloween has a lot of masters, Hocus Pocus or, Addams Family 2, my favourite Halloween film, Family Value.
Brilliant.
Though, pardon me, we only watched that, me and Sam, about 2 weeks ago. It was great as well. Like, that just doesn't get old. Like, it's so good. So many little nods to horror classics as well. It's just sensational. So I don't know. Annoyingly, we realised until I saw a friend yesterday who told me that there was like Hocus Pocus live in concert where you watch it to the orchestra. And I've never done something like that before. And it's become all the rage as of late. Like, they've done Joker with like the orchestra in the background and stuff. I think I'd like to see that or do one of those.
I think they did them at the Symphony Hall, Birmingham, I believe.
I mean,
that should be interesting.
If you could do any, you'd do Phantom Menace, wouldn't you, for Duel of the Fates, like just to hear it in real time and
yeah, absolutely.
Film's dog shit.
Yeah. I think I'll be watching Barbarian. I've been waiting ages for this, and I do really like a bit of Georgina Campbell. So that's the one I've been looking forward to for a while. So that's going to be my Halloween night viewing. Plus, it's got our boy Bill Skarsgård in there as well, so it should be interesting. Anyway, we'll move on to the actual point of this podcast, which is to look at a Nick Cage film called Red Rock West. Looking at Cage's timeline here, this comes after Honeymoon in Vegas and Amos and Odell, and a year before It Could Happen to You and Trapped in Paradise. So it's 1993. Still a little bit off his golden period run of Leaving Las Vegas, The Rock, Con Air, Face Off. That's 2 years down the line. I'd read the synopsis of this film, and it's a serious film, but like, in the middle of all these quite odd, silly comedies, it sticks out a little bit in the timeline of Cage. I was pretty much quite intrigued as to where this was going. Matt, had you known about this film before? What were you thinking going into it?
God, no. And just to, peek behind the curtain here, so difficult was this to find. It had to be got uploaded for the rest of us to download because it was so that difficult to get a hold of. I had no clue about this film. Like, nobody that I've spoke to has heard about it either, because I always, tell people what we cover and that. But no, not a clue about it, which was nice. It was nice to go into it with a complete blank canvas of what was going to happen. I didn't touch it in any capacity, didn't read any notes on it, didn't watch a trailer. I just thought, we'll go with it. Let's see what happens. I just hope it's not. I don't know why when I heard Red Rock West, I didn't think of what it is. I thought, oh no, it's not another one of these helicopter films, is it?
It does sound like it's going to go down that route, doesn't it? Stu, I know you're a fan of the slapstick comedy stylings, especially when we look at this period of Cage. I know that you were a fan of all 4 films to various, degrees. So how were you feeling going into this movie, knowing that it's sandwiched between movies that you generally like?
Really not kind of apprehensive, that's the wrong word, but intrigued more than anything, mainly because like what Matt said, that we couldn't find it anywhere. You can't buy it anywhere. I mean, even renting it for $3.49, I was prepared to do it for a change. Why not? It's not even possible to do that in this country. I mean, why? I mean, you can buy any kind of nonsense anywhere. You can't even buy this to rent or buy, other than getting the DVD off Amazon if you're lucky, which is very peculiar. But again, then you look at it and you think, well, why can't we buy this film? Why does no one know what it is? Is there a reason for that? And you kind of think, oh no, maybe this is the stinker that's kind of been wiped from memory, and thankfully it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So looking at the cast on this one, Lara Flynn Boyle, probably best known as Donna Hayward in Twin Peaks, but she'd also done like Wayne's World, Road to Wellville, Men in Black 2. She's a bit of a 90s stalwart. And we've also got Dennis Hopper, who we recently watched in Rumblefish, also known as El Nino in 2005's The Crow, Wicked Prayer, but probably best known for Waterworld, Speed, Super Mario Brothers. A bit of a legend, really. Matt, have you seen The Crow, Wicked Prayer?
I've seen all of them, mate. I've got them all on DVD, believe it or not. Though by the time you get to number 4, I'm fairly certain it's Region 0. And it's not even like printed properly, like the DVD case. I think I just got it off. Someone might have I got it off eBay, I think, and it's just awful. They go progressively worse as they go on, obviously. And then when Angel is in it, that was the peak of its terribleness.
Incredible. It's directed by John Dahl. It's not a name that I immediately recognised, but when I looked into his filmography, he directed 1994's The Last Seduction, which is a film that I watched at uni, a neo-noir thriller. It's one of these films that I have like really vague recollections of the film, but for whatever reason, I could never remember the title of it. So when I came across it on IMDb reading about this film, I was genuinely quite pleased with myself. It's one of those 90s sexy thrillers that we don't get to see anymore. It's really fucking good as well. I would recommend it to anyone. It's an excellent movie.
Is it the kind of film that would be on Movies for Men? That like there was that channel back in, it's Stu, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
It used to be like that sat like I think as a young adult you think you're going to be watching porn on Movies for Men, but it's more just like these
Red Shoe Diaries,
like erotica films as opposed to actual P&V.
Yeah, it's that sort of thing, but quite grim in parts, but really good. He also did another 90s favourite of mine, Rounders, which is the film which got me into playing poker, to be honest. Like, it's a really good movie. Early Matt Damon, excellent movie. And then after that, he did quite a lot of TV work. So Battlestar Galactica, Breaking Bad, True Blood, Shameless, Arrow, Dexter. Like, it's a long list. He never seems to stick around for a lot of episodes, but he directs one and then moves on to the next. Like, he's made a very good career out of it by the looks of things. Looking on IMDb, though, the description here is, upon arriving to a small town, a drifter is mistaken for a hitman. But when the real hitman arrives, complications ensue.
What kind of work you looking for?
I was hoping to get on a drilling crew.
Why don't you try Red Rock? Maybe somebody there can head you in the right direction.
I thought you were supposed to be here last Friday. You are here for the job, aren't you? And you're Lyle from Dallas, right?
Right.
There's the 5, like we agreed, is to go out to the house, break in. When she comes in, you know what to do.
Your name's Suzanne?
West. From Columbia TriStar Home.
The film opens up with Michael, that's Nick Cage, having seemingly slept in his car. He's wearing a vest and his boxers and pulling on his knee brace, doing some push-ups in the middle of the road before then heading to a construction site to try and get a job. His friend on the site told him that it was a done deal, but the boss makes him apply, and when he finds out about Cage's bum knee, he passes on taking him on. Michael leaves to go to the next town, and that's Red Rock. He will try his luck there. Upon arriving at the local bar, the bartender, Wayne, asks Michael, "I thought you were supposed to be here last Friday. You're here for the job, aren't you? You're Lyle from Dallas, is that right?" When Michael agrees with him, he then realises that the job that Lyle is there for is to kill Wayne's wife, Suzanne. He gives him a scenario in order to make it look like it was a robbery gone wrong. That was 15 minutes. The opening went really quickly. What are you guys thinking here? Stu, how did the opening get you going?
It didn't really get me going. I was more kind of baffled, really. What was going on? It's like you said about when he's waking up in his car like some kind of slovenly tramp, and when you do, you kind of expect him to do like shaving in the wing mirror and stuff like that. But yeah, to say that's 15 minutes, it is kind of, it's almost like saying, oh yeah, nothing happens in these 15 minutes, but a lot does seem to happen, but yet it doesn't. It's like really odd, but it didn't feel fast and it didn't feel tedious either. It's kind of systematic of this whole film. It's really hard to describe how you feel about it. I mean, I was really engrossed in it. I was completely full on. When it doesn't do anything for the audio, but my camera's suddenly gone completely orange. I don't know why. But yeah, it was. I was enjoying it, but I didn't really know why, because it was like it wasn't where I expected it to be.
So, like, all we know at this point is that Cage is a man who is in need of work. He's looked into a job as a hitman. Like, all three of us have said, we don't know this film. So, at the 15-minute point, where did you think it was going to go? Because I got to be honest, I had no idea. This was completely, like, it was an open book at this point to me.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was thinking, because, well, the fact that he turned up as, it wasn't just a drifter, he seemed like a bit of a, I thought he was a bit of a con man, and that's why he was putting the knee brace on. And it was like, but then he used it like, oh, I was being honest to the guy in the on the construction site. And you think, well, is he being honest, or did he just not want the job? And then he turns up in this bar and he completely flips his personality again. And he went, yeah, of course I'm a hitman and all this stuff. And it's like, well, you've done like 3 characters in the space of 15 minutes here.
Yeah.
So I thought that's where it was going to go, that he was cleverer than he was letting on, and the whole thing was an act, and he actually was the hitman. That's where I thought we were.
Okay. Matt, thoughts on the first 15 minutes, and where did you think we were going to be going after the first 15 minutes?
Well, my worry was that this was going to be another, I can't even remember the name of the film now, the one with the Twin Towers. Like, how are they going to pad out this remaining hour and 15, because he's given the job. Surely it doesn't take him an hour and 15 to do the job or not do the job. Where are we going to go from here? The bit with the knee brace and going to that job, at that point I was like, oh, this is going to plod on this already, I can tell. But the second they went to the bar, and the second we see that cock up between the identifying, what I'm trying to say. I thought, oh, actually, this is picked up a little bit now. This is turned interesting. This has the capacity for twists and turns, and then I started paying attention. So the fact that was set up within 15 minutes was a good thing. I'm glad that we got to that point nice and early, because it allows us then to enjoy some of the twists and turns as the film goes on. Yeah,
absolutely. Michael breaks into Suzanne's house, startling her but warning her that Wayne plans on having her murdered. Upon hearing this news, Suzanne offers Michael double the money to kill Wayne. Michael goes to leave Red Rock. The rain is hammering down and someone steps out in front of his car. Braking too late, Michael goes right through the man. The man who Michael hit was the ranch hand from Suzanne's farm, and he's still alive. Michael races to the hospital, carrying the man in to be seen. Before he gets a chance to leave, though, the local police step in to ask Michael some questions, as the man had 2 bullets in his stomach. Whilst the police were talking, the sheriff arrives, and it's Wayne. Wayne arrests Michael, who manages to escape Wayne's attempts to arrest him before a race through the woods, where Wayne is shooting at Michael. Michael falls out of the woods and onto the roadside, where a car manages to slam his brakes on seconds before ploughing into Michael. That's 30 minutes. I found that chase through the woods to be actually really quite exciting. Because we know he's got this bad knee, so I thought, is he actually going to get away? Where are we going? Is he going to capture him? It just felt like the possibilities were endless at this point. And we've got a man lying in hospital who's been shot. We know that wasn't Michael. It felt like there was a lot of loose ends going on, and this film could go absolutely anywhere here. I really enjoyed this part. Matt, what were your thoughts getting up to the 30-minute mark?
Yeah, the thing that I enjoyed about this is the theories were constantly going in my head. Is this some kind of weird town like The Village? Or, is this a Twin Peaks kind of thing? Or is this, what's the story here? Like, I was trying to work it out in my head. Is this some backwards version of The Wicker Man where he's going to end up being like sacrificed at the town's whim? And because it didn't give you any answers, at least not in this 30 minutes, kept me engaged. Yeah, I was really enjoying it at this point.
Stu, do you echo those sentiments?
Yeah, and I thought as soon as the cops turned up and they might as well come straight out of a certain other Nicolas Cage holiday classic. That's what they seem like. They seem like idiots, didn't they? Again, straight away. You think, oh, these bumbling cops. And is this now going to turn into a comedy out of nowhere? Because it wasn't really... Even though it was played quite seriously, there was some quite funny bits already in this. And I did kind of laugh a few times. And it was like, are we supposed to be laughing at this? Or is it just because it's quite weird? But you are right, though. I mean, that chase scene, when we've seen a lot of chase scenes through the woods and stuff like that before, and you always get the one fall down into the brambles, and it looks all pathetic. But this actually, they did it well. And they did it like they're doing The Walking Dead, where it doesn't look terrible. So that was one plus. I mean, I did generally like the actual quality of the filmmaking in this film was very high, considering that no one knows about it, and it's like got the recognition of a student film. But yeah, and as soon as he nearly gets run over, and he's looking at the at the bumper with just his nose, and the peak of it's there, and then he steps out the car, and he's wearing what he's wearing. And you think, this is going to go stupid now.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael asks the man in the car for a lift to the gas station. The man, played by Dennis Hopper, agrees. We see the license plate on Hopper's car. It says he's from Texas. The car driver pulls up at the same bar which Michael first went to when he arrived at Red Rock. The driver demands that Michael joins him for a beer. When they get inside, the driver introduces himself. His name's Lyle. Michael goes to the toilet, and at the same time, Wayne returns to the bar where he meets Lyle. Both of them burst into the toilet, but Michael has climbed through the window and managed to escape. After a tense game of cat and mouse, Michael once again gets away and makes it to Suzanne's. He explains to her that the ranch hand friend of hers had been shot and that Suzanne should leave immediately, as it is likely that her husband had something to do with it. Whilst they were talking, Michael hears Lyle pull up. Lyle sneaks inside and Michael lures him upstairs, where Michael knocks Lyle out. Both Michael and Suzanne leave, not wishing to be around when Lyle wakes up. Michael wants to go to the nearest police station and explain what happened, but Suzanne reminds him that he pretended to be a hitman to con money out of her sheriff husband in order to kill her. They decide to just get as far away as they can from Red Rock. They stop off to fill the car while Suzanne decides that she wants a drink. Why on earth at this point would you go for a beer? Like, you filled the car, surely you would just want to get the fuck out of Dodge at this point.
Exactly.
And then they go into the bar and Suzanne doesn't have a drink. She gets absolutely hammered. So they end up getting this motel room and then stuff happens. They go down to Bone Town, as I've got in my notes here. Again, you're on the run. Like, this just all seems really fishy to me at this point. The following morning, Suzanne explains that they should go back to Red Rock, break into her husband's bar and get her money. Against it initially, but she manages to get Michael on side. They break into Wayne's office in the bar. Suzanne tries and fails to get into the safe, so she gets Michael to try. I did wonder at this point, is she just trying to set him up? Like, she's tried it. She knows the combination. She's tried it herself and says she can't do it. So she gets him to put his hand on the safe and reads out the numbers to him, which surely she would have tried. Like, my conspiracy brain was just going 10 to the dozen at this point.
Yeah, well, especially since she was the one who instigated getting plastered in the bar and staying over when, like you said, any sensible person would have just got straight as far as possible and then had a drink somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Wayne pulls up whilst they're inside. They hide in the closet. They overhear Wayne talking to his deputies. His deputies have been told that Wayne was not his real name and that he and his wife had stole $1.9 million. And they also have been told that Wayne had arranged to kill his wife. Michael overhears all of this. Suzanne tries to talk him around, telling him that they can still run away to Mexico together. Before they're able to leave, Lyle arrives and stops them, taking them both hostage. So that's now run 10 minutes. Like, how do we feel about the latest revelations? How are you feeling at the minute, Stu?
I didn't initially see her being part of it up until the bar. Just for that reason, because you had no reason to doubt her. I mean, you had reason to doubt her in Men in Black 2 when she was obviously alien. But not in, I mean, that's the only thing I could remember her for. When I first saw her name come up, I thought, oh, yeah. And she was probably the best part about that film. But yeah, it was a bit of a curveball. And then it comes, and they're essentially the wet bandits, and they've escaped, and they're now in hiding. And amazingly, one of them is the sheriff of this stupid town. And I thought, well, this is now turning into a farce, and some ridiculous things are going to go down, because if you can't just turn up and make yourself the sheriff and no one double check it. I know this place is it's meant to be a hick town anyway, but still. And then you have the whole thing, like you said, the whole conversation with the deputies, and they have the classic wanted poster made straight out to Microsoft Paint from 1998, and you might as well. Did it even have bullet holes in it? Because in my head, I'm thinking that it did.
Looked like it. It looked like the kind of thing I would have made at primary school with some lemon and like an open flame. It was awful, wasn't it?
When you get when you have to make a treasure map with tea bags.
Yeah, that was it.
And rub it over. Yeah, it just turned completely farcical from that point. And to be honest, I started to enjoy it even more. So I thought, well, this film is no longer taking itself seriously.
Mm-hmm. Matt, there's a lot going on at this point. Is it too much, or is it okay still? How are you feeling?
No, I didn't think it was too much. Going right the way back to when Lyle turns up at the ranch. When Nick Cage, I can't remember what he throws at his head. He throws it with such pinpoint accuracy. It's proper slapstick, and it really made me laugh. There was a couple of bits that I didn't like so much, like when he shimmies across that beam onto the bloke's truck, and then like the conversation they had is a bit hokey. It's like it was like some kind of cheap amateur dramatic play. Like the dialogue between them and the way it was delivered was a bit weird. But I mean, the thing is about this, you didn't really know where it was going. The twists and turns continue on, but I don't think there were, apart from what Stu said about him being the sheriff of nothing, which is completely out of the realms of possibility. Apart from that, that's the only one that I think is was silly. I mean, the fact, I wish they hadn't have given away the license plate of Lyle's car, because I think it would have been more fun to have heard it through dialogue, like when he gets to the just while they're talking. Like it's a shame that they gave it away with the license plate. To be fair, but at this point, I'm still enjoying it. I'm wondering, is she a wrong 'un in the sense that yes, she's robbed this money, but like she said, she did it for love and this and that. Is she a long 'un in the wrong one, or is she the reformed one that is just trying to get away from it all and join Nick Cage on this love affair? So yeah, I'm still invested at this point.
Super. Lyle springs Wayne out of jail and the gang drive to a graveyard out in the middle of nowhere. Michael is made to dig a grave up where there is a lockbox. Wayne refuses to open the box until Lyle gets rid of his gun. Lyle agrees, so Wayne opens it, taking his money out, and there's a pistol inside alongside it. Wayne goes to leave on his own, but Lyle has the keys to the car. He throws them on the floor. As Wayne goes to pick them up, Lyle throws a knife into Wayne's throat. Like fucking pinpoint accuracy as well, from about 20 yards away. In the mayhem, Michael and Lyle fight. Suzanne offers to help Wayne, but she takes the money and tries to find the keys so that she can leave. The groundskeeper hears the commotion and notifies the police. Suzanne kills Lyle. The police arrive. Michael and Suzanne run towards the train tracks as the train is approaching, making it onto one of the empty carts. When Michael's back is turned, Suzanne pulls the gun on him. Michael asks if she shot the ranch hand, which she did. He wanted the money. Michael walks over to the bag of money. Suzanne threatens to shoot him. Michael doesn't listen. She pulls the trigger and nothing. No bullets. Suzanne tries to sweet talk Michael, changing her tune, wanting to split the money now. Michael just dumps the cash out of the train and then tosses the broad out after it. The police arrive in the background. Michael's train speeds away. Stu, what do you think of the ending? I was really excited.
You say speeds away. A light jog would have caught up with that train.
Yeah, because like the train's going away as the credits roll, and you can see it going. And by the time you've got down to the best boy and stuff, it's only travelled about 15 yards, hasn't it?
I mean, it might as well have been a train set. The speed. It was just funny. I think when I said it started to descend into farce, it really did. I mean, you had the whole thing, the stabbing itself. That was, you could see, but then how it was kind of so overreacted to, and then him coming back to seemingly coming back to life. You could see it coming, but again, it was played so ridiculously. Like it was almost like it was from. Like some of the last half of this film was like Vampire's Kiss, and where you don't really know what you're supposed to be thinking of. Where is it deliberately being stupid, or is it just really badly made? I don't think it's badly made at all. But when I turned it off, and when I said to you in the thing, I really enjoyed this, and you can't really say why, because it's not. You know, we'll come to this in a bit anyway, but I really enjoyed the ending. I thought they couldn't have wrapped it up in a better way for how it had gone throughout the film.
Superb. Matt, do you agree? Is this the ending that you wanted the film to have?
Yes, because it's the only ending it could have had, because it's essentially a Western. So he has to go off on his own to the next town. The man with no name comes in, comes out. Because it's a Western, that's the only way it can end. So, you know, he couldn't have worked with them too. They couldn't have gone to Mexico. Fuck Mexico, as he shouts. It was the ending that it had to be. The way that it got there was, at the end, like Stu says, completely farcical, but it didn't detract from it being fun.
Superb. Right, so the budget on this film was $7 million. The box office return was only $2.5 million, which did surprise me. So I'd mentioned some of the films that came before and after this film. Honeymoon in Vegas was 12 months prior. That made $35 million. A year later, we had It Could Happen to You, which made over $40 million. So for this to have got 2.5 with Nick Cage and Dennis Hopper in just seems very paltry. but may explain why it's not really been heard of. 1993 would have been the 66th Annual Academy Awards. Red Rock West wasn't nominated for any Oscars. It was nominated for a Saturn Award and 2 Spirit Awards, though. The big hitter for that year's show was Schindler's List. It won the Best Picture and Best Director for Spielberg. Spielberg has had 13 films which have been nominated either as him as the Best Director or as a producer on the Best Picture. Can you name the other 12 films? Stu, start off. What do you reckon?
So is this director or producer?
Yeah, either or. So it's one. He's directed all of them, but when he directs them, he's producer as well. So he gets both.
I'm guessing E.T.'s on there.
E.T. Yep. Matt.
So what was this for? Sorry, when he's for any part of the movie has been.
He's had 12. He's had 13 films that he's either been producer or director on, which have been Oscar nominated.
For
Schindler's
any
List
category?
is one. Best Picture or Best Director.
Oh, so like Jurassic Park ain't going to have had a Best Picture award, is it?
Jurassic Park isn't on the list, no, surprisingly.
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan is, yep. Stu?
That would have been my second. Did he have anything to do with... did he have anything to do with The Abyss? But I don't think he did he?
No. I'll give you a clue. He had one out last year. It was out at Christmas, and it was a remake. It was a film I loved.
Oh, I know what it is.
Out last year?
Well, this helps you. It doesn't make a difference for the audio listeners at home. But if I went, that's not Michael J. Fox, but that might be.
Matt's doing jazz hands for the listener.
That means nothing to me.
Matt, what do you reckon?
West Side Story.
Yeah, West Side Story. Any other guesses before I tell you the remaining ones?
What about The Colour Purple?
Colour Purple's on there, yeah.
That was one of those we had to read the book at school. That's the only reason I know it.
See, this is why the whole thing is nonsense, because that film is not as good as people think it is.
I don't think I've ever seen it, to be honest, for some reason.
Would Close Encounters have been nominated?
Close Encounters was his first one, yeah. There's another big hitter with a very big name actor, and the character, it should be close to your heart, Matt.
Close to my heart? In what capacity? Is it
Junior?
Oh no! Don't say that. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, Raiders is on there.
Very good.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was. I don't know if that was Best Director or Best Picture. It was one or the other, but yeah. The others that we've still got to go. So you got Munich, Letters from Iwo Jima, Warhorse, Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, and The Post, which is a really good film as well.
Again, Warhorse. Why?
Didn't see it. Don't like war films. Boring.
No, well, that is the epitome of exactly what you say about war films. It's the biggest sort of sentimental bollocks ever. It's just if you want to put a film on and cry about a horse from the past, go right ahead and watch it. But that's literally all it is. I don't get what the hysteria about that film is whatsoever. And I like war films, and that new Netflix series looks amazing.
Which one's that?
On the Western Front.
Oh shit! Yes, it's a remake of an old film. Apparently, it's good. Based on a novel, I believe it's closer to the novel than the original film was.
So from the German point of view, which we never get. So
yeah, it should be quite interesting. Actually, like you say, it's a different view on generally how we see things.
Is it all war films, Andy, or just World War II that you're not hot on?
I think it's mostly World War II, because thinking about it, I quite like films that are set during Vietnam. Vietnam's a bit of a sexier war, for want of a better word, really, isn't it? It's got a better soundtrack, which I think helps. So yeah, I think it probably is that.
It's the main thing.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan's fine, but I wasn't massively invested in it. It just,
Have you done Band of Brothers yet?
no.
My brother in Christ, you need to watch that ASAP.
I know I should. I do know I should. I also know that it just feels like it's a commitment.
It really is, and it's 10 hours. That's it.
Yeah, but I'm about 15 hours behind on the TV show that I watch generally. So,
For pleasure.
like, yeah, never mind. Right, moving on. What do you think the scores on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes out of 10, out of 100? Stu?
I mean, it's really hard to kind of guess because no one knows it even exists. And even though I took it as two completely different films mashed together, but is that me putting a spin on it because I liked it, or is it, or should I be criticising it for not being one thing or the other? I'm very middle of the road. I'd say about 665, something like that, because I just don't know.
Both critically and from the audience.
Yeah,
you reckon, in the middle. Okay. Matt, do you agree? Higher, lower?
Well, because my answer's changed on the fly because of what you told me about the budget. So, not the budget, sorry, the box office. Because now that I know that it didn't make a lot of money, I actually think it's probably scored higher because it will venture into cult status. So I'd probably go like 7.5 to 8 for the audience and a little less for the critics because I think they'd probably turn their nose up at it being a bit silly. So maybe 6.5 to 7 for critics.
Interesting. You're very close, actually, Matt. So IMDb, the Metacritic, and the Rotten Tomatoes audience score. So you've got 7.0, 79, and 75%. So, yeah, very much within that 7.5. The Rotten Tomatoes critical score has this on the same number as Spider-Verse and Pig, and is Nick Cage's highest rated film at 97%.
What?
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. That's got like, how many have you got to have ranked for it to register on the list? Like, there must be like, you can't have 2 and it go on. Do you know what I mean? Like, there must be a really small amount of critical responses on this, though.
I will have a quick look whilst we're here.
Because
Rock.
that's absolutely mad. It's not a bad film. But it's not, it's not up there with the absolute stellar best that it's done.
No, I agree. Like, I enjoyed it, but there is a caveat to it. There are 39 critical reviews, so not a massive amount by any stretch of the imagination. Some of the reviews are from as recent as June 6th this year.
Yep.
So even like recent reviews still give it good ones. The vast majority of them seem to come out sort of mid-aughts. But
what have we got to do to be considered a critic on Rotten Tomatoes, so we can start our own smear campaign on Captain Corelli's mandolin?
I was wondering this because when you look at some of them, they do just seem to have some nobodies off some rando website and odd podcasts. So I don't know if we just need to like submit some shit for it or what. I would quite like to be a verified reviewer on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah,
That'll get them going.
You can get Valley Girl to where it deserves.
God, Valley Girl. Oh, I nearly watched that again the other day.
See,
I don't know why. I just had an urge to watch something kind of terrible, but also kind of fun.
Punishing
it's
yourself
Trapped in
after
Paradise
another.
season soon.
Oh, that's never getting watched again. That one.
I'll watch The Family Man again, probably this Christmas.
Yes, I'd agree with that. I'd listened to a little bit of that podcast that we did, and just when we was talking about the beginning of it, where he's walking around playing air guitar to, was it Salieri? I can't remember, some classical piece of music, and it just made me have that itch of, I want to watch this film again. I did enjoy that one. So the critical response on this one, the only critics to give it a negative score was Jonathan Rosenbaum, which is a name that we've mentioned on this podcast before. He said it was a rather ho-hum, if watchable, neo-noir. though it's been treated in some quarters as something special. Very much on the other end of that scale was Richard Schickel of Time magazine. It has the kind of tension and energy that maybe even a touch of delirium that is only a memory in most of today's big studio movies. Karen James from New York Times said it should never have fallen through the cracks. This clever little film is a real find. And finally, Jeff Andrew from Time Out, a well-played, highly entertaining and playfully ingenious thriller. The good reviews are like talking about it as if it's the greatest film of 1993. Like, the one that I said, Richard Schickel, the one who was talking about it, it's a touch of delirium, tension and energy that is only a memory in most of today's big studio movies. He's like almost written a fucking poem about this film, the way he's described it. And like we said before, whilst it's good, I'm a little bit surprised at how highly they've spoke about it. Looking on Amazon.com, there's nothing really of interest. There's lots of very good reviews, but nothing you wouldn't expect. It's got a 4.5 out of 5 with 87% 4 and 5 star reviews. But there's nothing really comedic. They're all just saying, yeah, it's a good film. Kind of what you expect, really. Moving on to the good, the bad, and the crazy. Matt, please start us off.
So the good is the fact that it kept me engaged all the way through, considering it, it's not got a huge budget, and there's a couple of sketchy performances, throughout it. But it kept me engaged enough with its twists and turns. I never felt like I knew the full picture. So I was never bored. I was never bored throughout it. So that's a good thing. Obviously, the bad thing is that once the film started, I then started to Google it, and when people call it like neo noir, I expected to be a little sexier than this. I expected it to be a bit grittier and a bit more challenging, theme wise and stuff like that. And there really wasn't any of that. There's no challenging themes in this film at all. There's no morality compass, really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that was a bit of a letdown, to be perfectly honest. That was a bit of a shame. But what my crazy in this one is that JT Walsh, who played Wayne, he's one of these actors that you've seen in everything, but you can't pinpoint down one thing he's been in. He's just a face that he's just recognisable, but I can't tell you why. And then I realised he was on Miracle on 34th Street. And that's when it clicked, and I was like, I know who this guy is. But he's just one of those faces that I think just got lost to the annals of time, like never made it out, makes a convincing like extra everywhere he goes. But I think people would recognise him, just not have a clue where he's from.
Yeah, absolutely. Stu?
I mean, the good is the fact that they had so many things going on in this film, where, like we've already talked about, how you went from, is this a crime caper? Is this a slapstick comedy? Is it like a buddy cop film? Has it got a romantic section? And it worked. Everything worked. And it had no right working at all. And like we spoke about in the last hour or so, how it jumped from one thing to the next, yet nothing seemed out of place. It all felt real in this world. So you have got murderers for hire dressing exactly like a Texan you'd expect to dress like, in a stupid car, polished up to the nines, in the middle of a desert, dust-free. You have got redneck hillbilly police chiefs, but then you have got a sheriff who's on the run from the FBI with a made-at-home tea-stained wanted poster, which none of these things should work together, but they just do. I mean, the only bad thing I can think of is why people don't know about it, and who owns the distribution rights to this. That it's not just put. If this was put on Netflix, this could easily be one of them things that people just randomly rediscover, and then people on niche podcasts like this talk about it, and then it snowballs, and then it becomes like lost treasure. It just doesn't make any sense why you got films like this that are buried when you've got things like Prime, Paramount Plus, even Disney, whoever the hell that owns it. Unless it's just one of them things that whoever owned the distribution in the first place just went bust and it just got lost. Who knows? But it's just a massive lost opportunity because more people need to see this film because it's a lot of fun.
And just looking on Amazon at the moment at the Blu-ray that you can buy, Plan B Entertainment. I've never heard of Plan B Entertainment before, so that might be why it's not really got any sort of release.
Unless that's the rapper / actor Plan B.
Yeah, just imagine if some random cockney owns the rights to this film.
And then the crazy thing, which again stuck out, well, like a sore leg. At what point did the knee brace stop being a thing? Because after about the first 15 minutes, it was never mentioned again. And you got him on doing high wire trapeze things on balance beams across trucks, not mentioned. You got him gambling around through bushes and forests, not mentioned. You got him jumping on trains, not mentioned. It's like you had this thing at the very start that's just completely forgotten about, and no one seems to care.
I'd got that down as one of my bads, was the fact that it never seemed to come back into play at all. It seemed to be a narrative device to move him on from that building site to Red Rock, but the film could easily have just opened up in Red Rock. They didn't need to have that in there, so it didn't really have any impact. But they made such a thing about making sure you noticed that he was pulling on this knee brace, so that felt a little bit odd. The other bad, I felt it was a little bit disjointed because, as you said, Stu, it does feel like there's a few different films in here, and whilst they all, as a whole, it does feel like a story has gone through it. It did feel like there was more of a handbrake turn to get into some areas of the film rather than smooth driving through. I felt it possibly could have been like a 3 or 4 hour mini-series and they could have ironed it out a little bit better. But I feel like I'm being picky because actually I really enjoyed this film. So I'm just trying to find reasons to put in the bad segment here. For the good though, like I like a noir film. As you said, Matt, it's not massively neo-noir. It does hit all of the tropes, the duplicitous woman, the use of light and dark, and all of those. Like it tickled that film student itch that I get with these kind of things, so I enjoyed it for that. And Dennis Hopper, I thought was really good in this movie. He feels like an actor who somehow I don't feel like I've seen many of his films. Considering he's something of a legend, I've seen a handful of his movies. And he came into this and he had this sort of wide-eyed, crazy assholeness to his character. Something that we kind of associate with Nick Cage in probably about 7 or 8 years' time. And this frenetic energy that he brought to it, I thought was a really good foil for what was going on. Yeah. Because when you look at the main plot between the 3 main characters, effectively what's a love triangle, that would have been pretty boring if it was just those 3 playing it out. The introduction of that 4th character just added this element of danger to everything.
Yeah, he was definitely the anarchy of the piece, wasn't he? Like he was, and especially before the kind of reveal about who he really is, when he, the whole Semper Fi thing, and they were talking about being Marines together. I thought that was like the conversations and the scenes that he were in. His dialogue was given in such a way that it just had that's kind of kept the energy levels up, and without him being there, I think it would have been a lot more dreary and plodding along this film. Yeah,
I think that's spot on.
You know what never gets talked about either? I remember that reveal of him in 24 as the bad guy, the very first time, and it was kept completely secret. That obviously never happened now. But was it the first season or the second season? It's been a long time since I watched that.
I think it's the second, but yeah.
But I've never seen 24 ever, not a single episode.
Oh.
And I saw it on IPTV the other day, and I thought to myself, does it just follow him, the show?
Yeah.
So I guess just for that 24-hour period, he doesn't sleep.
No, he doesn't sleep. Oh,
There's one episode where he like tries to have a nap on a settee.
yeah.
That's about it.
And there always used to be the thing that was you never saw him go to the toilet because that was in the ad break. That's why when it goes to the timer thing and then he comes back, well, you're watching it now, and the whole thing's on fucking Disney Plus anyway. You're going to watch it in the bad way. But that's where the ad breaks were. So
so it's not a full hour then?
No, it's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it does cut away, so you're not just with Kiefer Sutherland. Like you may be with a different character in a different part of LA or wherever they are. But yeah, you are right. Like he wouldn't have a decent night's kip. He would struggle to get through. Weirdly, my friend watched it within the last month or so. Her and her husband just sat there and played through it. I'm like, this hasn't been out for 20 years at this point. Why are you watching it now? But yeah, they loved it and said it's ridiculous, but it's still watchable now.
The first three was superb because
Yeah,
after that, it kind of turned into a parody itself. And then when the nuke went off in LA, it's like, well, it's just been silly now.
That was when it lost me. Was that the nuke was like it was quite literally the jumping of the shark. It was just wild. It was too much. My crazy on this film as well. I just think it's insane that I've never heard of this film before. Like obviously doing research for this, a film which has got a 97 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is starring two of the biggest actors of all time, and like I said, literally no one's ever heard of this film. It's fucking insane. So yeah, I thought that was crazy. But did you enjoy the film, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it for sure. It's not without its flaws, but it certainly wasn't boring. And it certainly kept me engaged with it. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Stu, agreement?
Yeah, fully. It's not going to tickle the top 5, and I think it might get into a top 10 maybe, but it's not going to be. It's not nowhere near that ridiculous number that it's rated on RT for. Maybe it is a scarcity thing. Maybe it's one of these things that we just people who've seen it. It's like a special club. Who really knows? But yeah, I mean, you say, would you recommend this? Of course, you recommend this to anyone because it's a really, really good, fun 90s film. It felt in the kind of way that, like Wild Wild West, is better now, looking back at it as a nonsense, than it was at the time when it came out. This has aged perfectly.
Yeah, it feels very 90s, but in the right way. Like it feels like a period piece rather than a throwback almost. So I think it's worked really well. I'm in agreement. I enjoyed it. Is it deserving of being Nick Cage's joint highest rated film of all time on Rotten Tomatoes? Probably not. But that's not to say that, it had very good acting. It had a simple but, effective storyline behind it. It's a genre of film that doesn't really get a lot of love or look-ins in the modern day, so it's good to watch for that. All around, I just thought it was an enjoyable film. It didn't reinvent the wheel, but it didn't take a shit on the wheel either. It was just a good movie. Based on this film and this film alone, was Cage good or was Cage bad? Stu?
He was great. I think we had a bit of everything in this. There was hints at Crazy Cage. There was the lesser seen seductive Cage, and there's probably a reason for that. I mean, we've kind of skirted over it, but I mean, it's almost as if it makes like Terminator's sex scene like something from Emmanuel. It's embarrassing. But yeah, he was great in this, as everyone was.
Yeah. Matt, Sexy Cage?
I wouldn't say he was great. He was fine. He was okay. He wasn't a bad performance from him in that, I don't think this isn't Left Behind by any stretch of the imagination, but it was just fine. So it was good, yes, but would this be, if you could only show one film to somebody and be like, God, this guy, wait till you get a load of Nick Cage, you wouldn't show him this. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of range to the character, I don't think.
I think we've watched a lot of 90s Cage at this point as well, haven't we? From the sublime to the ridiculous. We've seen the whole gamut of Nick Cage. And this one is firmly in the middle. I felt like it was a solid but probably not spectacular performance.
Yeah, it was safe, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah. And I think because we are, as the audience, are supposed to identify and we view the film through Nick Cage's eyes in this, that's exactly what it needed to be. We didn't need to have the manic highs and the depressing lows. We needed someone who's steady, and that's what Cage was. I thought it was a really well-balanced performance. I agree with Stu. It's probably not going to tickle the top 5. I don't think it'll be top 5 film or top 5 performance, but it's definitely on the good on both of those questions for me. So finally, to finish it off, finish this sentence. If you enjoyed Red Rock West, you may also like. Stu.
I can't remember the name of it, which is annoying for this segment. It's the one Steve Martin in where he's an actor in a Western.
The Three Amigos.
That's the one. Yeah, Three Amigos.
What a film!
I hadn't thought about it for years, and for some reason, I was sitting through this, and I thought, I don't know if it was just the whole Western kind of vibe in the background and the Texan thing, but the impersonating someone that you're actually not really. But yeah, Three Amigos. Watch it immediately. I know what it is. I'm going to do the same.
Yeah. I might add that to the list because I haven't seen that in so long. I used to love that. It was just a weird little shuffly dance thing they used to do. Always used to make me laugh. Brilliant choice. Matt?
Drive. Ryan Gosling's Drive. Mm-hmm. Because essentially, Drive is a Western too. And, the man with no name comes in, jobs for the highest bidder, keeps himself to himself, ends up going out in a blaze of glory to kind of defend the woman he's fell for kind of thing, and goes off into the distance fatally wounded or whatever. I mean, Drive itself is Shane, a remake of Shane, but I think if you enjoyed the fact that the drifter comes in, the drifter raises hell, the drifter leaves element of this film, I think you'd really enjoy Drive. And Drive's it's just sexy as hell, isn't it? As well, great soundtrack as well, visually, there's some really nice things in it. So yeah, watch Drive if you've not seen it.
It's probably got one of the most iconic pieces of clothing in as well. Like that coat for such a period of time was like that was something everybody wanted. I think it's kind of up there with the bride in the Kill Bill series. It's just immediately identifiable. For myself, I mentioned at the start of this podcast, The Last Seduction, which was Linda Fiorentino plays a woman who is on the run from her husband. She ends up embroiled trying to sell murders to housewives in the middle of nowhere so that they can claim insurance money. It eventually catches up to her and the killers try to come for her. It's a classic neo-noir. I think that's what this film sort of wanted to be. I think he wanted a bit more of that and he didn't quite hit it. So The Last Seduction is what I'd recommend. If you want something a little bit sillier, I would probably say go for Disclosure. Michael Douglas gets a blowjob and Demi Moore tries to get him sacked because of it. It's awful, but it's really good fun. The animated series Big Mouth did an episode where the kids put on a stage play of the movie Disclosure, but they make it into a musical, and it's just absurd. So yeah, watch that film and watch the TV show as well. Brilliant.
Just while you were talking, I thought, you know what, I'm going to watch again, 8mm, because I remember that being decent. And then it's got 23% on the tomato meter. It was better than that, wasn't it?
I don't think it was, to be honest. I think we did nail it a little bit.
Maybe I'll have revisionist history on this.
Maybe you need to give us another review on it.
You know
I think
what?
it was a bit like Gone in 60 Seconds, because I remember all three of us saying we enjoyed that in 2002 or whatever, but watching it now in 2022, it's dog shit.
My mind automatically went to the Eminem film. And
8 Mile.
8 Mile and not 8mm, which kind of says everything about 8mm itself.
I think 8mm wanted to be something it wasn't, but I do remember us all really enjoying the performance from James Gandolfini.
Mm-hmm.
But what's not to love? Yeah. So that's another Nick Cage movie in the record books. If you've seen this one or any of the others, please get in contact. You can get us on email at cagefightingpod@gmail.com or on the socials at cagefightingpod. Please make sure you subscribe on the socials as well, just because that's where we put out our calls for questions and whatnot. Please make sure you subscribe to the podcast on whatever podcatcher you're listening to so you don't miss an episode. And if you could leave a review, we will love you forever, because that's the kind of thing that would help us grow, especially in the year 2023. So let's try and get a push on that one, I think, folks. Finally, thank you just for giving us your time this week. We very much appreciate it. So for this week, Matt, would you like to say goodbye?
Take it easy, everybody. Look after yourselves and stay cool.
Stu, would you like to say goodbye?
Usually it'd be stay warm at this time of year. But yeah, if you are listening to this on Monday, just be thankful that tomorrow is the countdown to Christmas. Goodbye, everyone.
It's goodbye from me, and remember, be excellent to each other.